Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Your Stocks. I'm Surabhi Upadhyay, and with me is Nigel D'Souza. Not really a good afternoon if you've got long positions open in this market, because the decline is continuing and it's a full 1% cut. In fact, the Nifty now struggling 76 points down and getting closer and closer to the 74.50 mark. The weakness has been fairly persistent actually throughout. We haven't seen too many dashes of green, so it seems the bears are trying to make their presence felt again, Nigel.
That's right, Surabhi. And if you take a look at it, though the mid-cap index is doing a relative outperformance because the Nifty is down a good percent now, but the mid-cap index is down only around 0.8%, so it's doing a relative outperformance, but that index as well has moved for the low point of the day. Pull up the Bank Nifty. For majority of the trading session, it's been holding well in the green. It was holding with a gain of around 100 points. Now that one as well has come off the high point. I think ICICI Bank, that's the big mover in there. Let's pull up the intraday chart of ICICI Bank. I think that would have come off from the top, and that holds close to around 20% weightage on the Bank Nifty. So that one in fact has dragged the Bank Nifty lower as well. But let's start answering some of your queries first, and then in fact we'll take stock of the markets as well. Joining us today on the show, we have Mayuresh Joshi, who joins us, as well as Mayuresh Mirani. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining in this afternoon. Let's get straight to our first caller. We have Mr. Ravindra, who calls us from Vadodara. He has investments in Imami. Hi sir, good afternoon. How can we help you?
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, I have purchased this Imami in IPO.
Okay.
And been holding since then, and because of splits and bonus, it has become 300 shares now. I just wanted to know whether I should still hold, or I can get out of this, because it was when it was around 1,365, people were telling it will go beyond 1,500, 1,600, so I was holding. Now it is down to almost 950 rupees.
All right.
I just want to know whether still I should hold, or I can.
That's right, sir, but I don't think you have much to complain about. You're making...
Yeah, I don't have much.
First of all, congratulations. You're a perfect example. I hope all our viewers that are watching in, he's hung in there for a longer duration. He's making good money. So congratulations, Mr. Ravindra. And let's try to get in some advice then. Mayuresh, let's come across to you. What's your take on Imami? He's making big returns, but before that, let's just take a quick check on the Nifty. Just in the last few minutes, we've suddenly drifted lower yet again. So pull up Bajaj Auto. That stock was seeing selling pressure. Now it's moved to the low point of the day. So just pull up the intraday chart of the Nifty. Pull up Bajaj Auto. That stock is seeing some selling pressure. And there is stock that may be on Hindustan Unilever as well. That's returned to the sell list, I believe, of a couple of funds. So let's pull up that stock. There are some unconfirmed rumors that there is some selling over there. So just pull up the intraday chart of there.
And
that stock
as well, Nigel. I want to add to your list.
Yeah.
I mean, single-handedly exerting this last 5-minute pressure that we've seen.
Okay, then. So that's about the Nifty. We just thought we'll take a quick check over there. But let's come across to Mayuresh. Mayuresh, what about our investor? He's making good money on Imami, but he's a little upset. I mean, he's saying that he's not got the exit price at the top. Do you think he should hang in there? It's making him big returns.
Afternoon, Nigel. Clearly, the benefits of long-term investors are being displayed by the investor who has invested in Imami and hung on. So my whole logic for Imami henceforth would be that the valuation is looking a little bit stretched at this point of time at 33.5 times. But the kind of portfolio that Imami has, whether it's Navratna oil, whether it's their Boro Plus, antiseptic cream, all these will hold them in good stead. The acquisitions that they've done, specifically in Zandu Honey and again Kesh King, is going to help them in supporting their EBITDA margins. Now the EBITDA margins in the quarter gone by have come at an all-time high of 31.6%, and that was aptly aided by the fall in raw material costs that we've probably seen. So clearly, I think with increase in advertising expenses and staff expenses, you did see some amount of pressure on the bottom line. And again, I think there was a delayed winter, because of which I think the volume growth specifically on the winter portfolio did see a dip. Navratna Oils also saw a dip, which is one of their biggest brand and portfolio that they probably possess at this point of time, and that's shown a volume degrowth of 7%. But again, I think once the expectations of a good monsoon come through over the next few months, once rural demand starts picking up again in a very discreet manner over the next few quarters, Imami's market share would probably be still maintained, and the volume growth can still come back. So our own take is currently the valuation is looking stretched, but since he's holding it from the IPO price, it's a clear hold at this point of time.
Okay, gentlemen, before we get to the next query, just an eye on the market, because now we are very close to the 74.50 mark, and the pressure is well and truly on. Nifty Bank is on the brink of slipping into negative territory, and that's where the pain is really coming from. The only stocks that are outliers, PNB and State Bank of India, are still holding on to gains. I mean, there's so much of talk about recovery of stressed assets and that mega joint lender forum meeting that's underway. We've been getting you exclusive details on how some of these banks are calling in a lot of stressed companies to try and find a resolution ASAP. So these are the two stocks that are holding out. Otherwise, it's beginning to look like a sea of red out there. In fact, stocks like L&T slipping further. Of course, HDFC Bank and HDFC, both the twins, have been down and out, and Lupin is now clocking a loss of about 7%. So lots of pressure building in for this market. But let's get some more questions going. We've got Tushar calling in from Akola. He's got investments in Suzlon Energy. Tushar, thank you for joining in. क्या क्वेश्चन है आपका, बताइए.
मैडम, ये सुजलॉन 14.10 में मैंने बाय किया था 1 month ago, 7,000 क्वांटिटी. तो इसका टारगेट कितना हो सकता है नियर टर्म?
आपने खरीदा है 14 में, 14 रुपए में.
हाँ, करेक्ट.
अच्छा, और कितने टाइम के लिए होल्ड करना चाह रहे हैं? 1 month के लिए?
हमें 6 months.
6 months के लिए होल्ड करना चाह रहे हैं. ओके. Mayuresh, Suzlon, I suppose, is for the brave-hearted. I mean, if you can trade the rally as well, then fine. It's not really been a long-term wealth creator by any stretch. What would you advise our viewer? He's got a 6-month time horizon.
So if we look at Suzlon, technically we had a bunch of supports around 18 odd levels which were broken in the last few months, and post that the downtrend has continued and it has not even seen enough of a bounce back even in a recovery in Nifty in the last few sessions. So what we see is it's an exit even on a trading point of view and even as an investment. So we can only look back into the company on a technical basis once it starts trading above 18 to 20 levels. So given that the investor has a very short time frame of say 1 to 6 months, I would suggest an exit even at current levels where the losses are minimal and there could be better alternative opportunities.
Alright then, so that's the advice that's coming in there. Exit the stock at current levels. But let's slip into a short break then. When you come back, we'll focus on a lot more stocks and we'll answer some queries. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Then a few stocks then putting in a bit of a fight for the Nifty. I think Bharti Airtel should come up for you. That stock is managing to hold on to the green, so that's good news though. While there are a few stocks from the front line. Just take a look at Lupin. That stock was always under pressure. Now it's moved to the low point of the day, sitting with a cut of close to around 7%. So just pull up that stock. And Idea as well as Hindalco, both those two stocks as well, have moved to the low point of the day. So just keep your eye out on a few stocks. IndusInd Bank, by the way, when we started off the show, it was trading with a cut of around 1/10%. Now it's trading with a cut of close to around 0.3%. That stock has moved to the low point of the day. And from the broader markets, SKS Micro, that stock stands out. Now it's down close to around 3%. So just watch out for that one as well. It's been a relative outperformer. Suddenly that stock has moved to the low point of the day. But let's get in our next caller. We have Bashveshwar Honrao, who calls us from Maharashtra. He has investments in Motherson Sumi. Hi sir, good afternoon. आपका सवाल क्या है?
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, मेरे पास मदरसन है
जी
100 शेयर
जी
एट द रेट ऑफ 244.
ऑलराइट.
मैंने 2-3 महीने से लिए हुए हैं और मैं लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए इसे होल्ड करना है या सेल करना है, ये मुझे पूछना था.
ऑलराइट. और हुंडा जी, आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हैं?
यस सर.
Alright, so that's good news at least. Naresh, could you help out an investor that we have got in here? Luckily, he's not bought Motherson Sumi at the top. He's bought it around 240 rupees approximately. He's a long-term investor. Would you advise him to hang in there?
So technically when we look at Motherson Sumi now, after the big fall in the last few months, now it will be forming a new range closer to 220 to 230 on the lower side and on the higher side 270 to 290. So I would suggest an exit whenever the stock goes to 270 to 290 in the short term or even in the medium term. So it would be a view, hold at current levels and review at 270 to 290 to exit.
Okay, Mayuresh, your thoughts on Motherson Sumi? What would you recommend?
Good afternoon, Surbhi. Well, what has happened with the stock since the Volkswagen saga? I think the stock price has got corrected significantly. The kind of acquisitions that they're making, I think it's going to get justified in the long term. But from a medium-term perspective, the operating flows as well as the return ratios are definitely going to get impacted. So again, I think largely neutral at this point of time.
All right, let's quickly move on to the next query. We have Mr. Sukhdev Singh joining in, and he is coming in from Amritsar. I think he's got some investments in Reliance Infra. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. आपका क्या question है बताइए? Mr. Sukhdev Singh joining in. सर आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि अपने टीवी की वॉल्यूम प्लीज कम कर दीजिए, नहीं तो फिर हम आपकी बात नहीं सुन पाएंगे, और फिर बताइए आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है. I think we've just lost that line with him, so I'll read out his question anyway. So he has Reliance Infra, 100 shares at a price of 510, and he's been holding on for about a month. He's a long-term investor, and he's also a retired person, 75 years of age. So Mayuresh, looking at the profile, what would you recommend? Do you think he can make some more money in Reliance Infra, or is it best to book out?
So technically it would be a hold because it has seen a strong recovery in the last few days, and what we see is on the higher side it can go up to 550. So if one has to conservatively hang on to the stock, one can keep a stop loss closer to 470 and hold on to this.
Alright, then hang on to the stock with the stop losses, the advice that's coming in there. By the way, struggling to find a few gainers, but let's pull up something like a Hexaware. When we started off the show, it was trading in the red. That stock's moved into the green, so let's pull up Hexaware, and let's pull up IRB Infra as well. That stock as well has moved into the green, though we have the Nifty yet again moving to the low point of the day. So at every rise we're seeing some selling pressure. I think currently we have Hindalco as well that's coming for some selling pressure, and Yes Bank that was sitting with a gain of more than 1% just around 20 minutes back. Yes Bank as well has given up close to around half of its gains, suddenly moved to the low point of the day. Slip into a short break, come back, focus on the markets and answer all your queries. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Still holding on to a 1% drop. So the good news is at least it's holding there and not sliding further. But the pressure is continuing. Some bank stocks have tried to stage a recovery. Check the bank Nifty itself from an absolute flat level. Now it's back up about 0.3%, and that's the mild recovery that we were referring to. So that's the picture. Let's quickly move on and answer some more questions. We have Mr. T. Radhakrishnan calling in from Bengaluru. He has investments, I think, in United Spirits. Sir, thanks for joining us on the show. How can we help?
Hello.
Yes, please tell us, sir. What's your query?
I have 65 United Spirits at around 4,000 rupees.
At 4,000?
Since holding since about 1 year.
Okay.
What should I do now?
So your average price is around 4,000, sir?
No, average is 4,000.
Around 4,000. Okay, that's been extremely painful, and there's a lot of course, talk still going around about Diageo's control and the payout to Vijay Mallya, etc. But let's get you a technical call since you've already taken a huge hit on this investment. Mayuresh, what's the advice? I mean, should he hope to average, or can he look at maybe a bounce to exit? Well, what's the strategy here? 4,000 was the average buy price.
So if I look at the chart of United Spirits, it has a bunch of bottoms around 2200 to 2250. So I would say it's a hold at current levels. As of now, we don't see a trend change on the upside and on the shorter term as well. So I would suggest to hold on to the stock and not average at current levels, and keep a stop loss at 2150 on a closing basis, and hold on to the stock and review the stock maybe after a few months. So as of now, there is no great trend in the stock.
Alright then, so that's the call coming in on United Spirits. By the way, just pull up a couple of stocks. I think we should get the stock of NDTV up for you on the screen. That stock has moved to the low point of the day. Praj Industries as well should come up for you. So a couple of these stocks, they're selling off, and they're selling off rather sharply in the last few minutes. Pull up Praj Industries as well. You'll see that that one as well has taken a sharp knock. But let's squeeze in another query then. We have Mofid Ahmed, who writes to us from Mumbai. He wants to buy 150 shares of Ashok Leyland. He's a long-term investor. He wants to know whether or not it's the right time to enter the market. Mayuresh, let's come across to you. What's your take? Ashok Leyland, I remember the stock maybe around 2.5-3 years back at around 16-17 rupees. Then it went like a rocket all the way to around 95 rupees. Or he wants to buy it now. Things have turned around a fair bit. Do you think it's advisable, or would you advise him to buy in a dip?
Absolutely, he has to buy on dips in a very gradual manner over the next few months, and the story is panning out quite nicely. The MHCV segment, which accounts for 80% of the top line for Ashok Leyland, has been holding up pretty well. They've gained market share, whether it be MHCV truck segment or the MHCV passenger segment. So again, I think the market share stands close to 31.9% overall for both these categories. And the LCV segment has also shown signs of improvement. So in the month gone by, you've probably seen a 10% growth happening from LCV as a segment, and clearly I think Pantnagar is contributing significantly, which is a duty-free plant. So the fall in prices that we've seen in diesel, the improvement in profitability thereof for a lot of the fleet operators, you're probably seeing firm freight rates. That is probably aiding the volume growth, and our own expectations is volume growth in excess of 20% odd for Ashok Leyland over the next couple of years. They're also intending to increase their export pie from 15% to 33% over the next 2 to 3 years. And EBITDA margins, in our opinion, because of benign input cost, along with increasing volumes and operating leverage benefits, should improve to around 10.5-11%, which it has been posting. So at the current juncture, our own take is it trades around 10 times EV EBITDA. So every gradual decline that you can probably see on the stock over the next few months should be taken as an accumulative opportunity. We've got a target set at 111, which values the stock at 13 times EV EBITDA over the next 12 months.
All right, Mayuresh and Nuresh, we'll wrap up on that note. Thank you so much for joining in and taking all of the viewer questions. As we wrap out, market's still down, but the banks really hold the key. There's been a recovery in ICICI Bank that's really led the market to bounce from the lows. The Nifty Bank is now up almost 0.5%. So it's an extremely volatile session for some of these banking stocks. Axis Bank has also started to recover from the lows. So that's the news as of now. We'll wrap up this edition of Your Stocks. Thanks for joining in. But do stay tuned because closing bell is coming up next.